Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk to you today about how wishing everybody a happy Mandela Day. And I know South Africa's in a dismal state right now with the mass shootings that seem to be occurring on a daily basis. But we do need to remember Nelson Mandela, and I do think a lot of South Africans need to remember the tolerance that he had and put it into today's culture, okay? There's a lot of xenophobic violence in South Africa. Some of the complaints are legitimate. I mean, if somebody's undocumented, you naturally want to believe in your country first and take care of its own citizens. But if somebody immigrates to South Africa legally and they get naturalized and have all the papers and so forth, or they legally come on a work visa, then you shouldn't be violently beating somebody up and having the xenophobic violence that South Africa's having. I don't think Mandela would approve of that. He wouldn't approve of the mass shootings either that are taking place in the townships. I would probably say particularly the Soweto township, because that's known for a lot of the anti-apartheid activism that took place. Now, before we go any further, yes, Mandela did get accused of terrorism crimes, and he bombed the infrastructure of South Africa. That's why he got sentenced to 27 years in prison. It wasn't for peacefully opposing apartheid. He did not deliberately target civilians. He targeted the infrastructure of apartheid in South Africa, which was wrong, because the infrastructure, as bad as the policies were, the infrastructure was a great infrastructure that one could build a country on. However, when civilian casualties became inevitable, Mandela said civilian casualties may happen, but we're still going to continue with the operations. That was wrong. Also, him refusing to renounce violence in prison when he was in prison was wrong. He would have gotten released a lot earlier had he renounced the violence. Now, he did tell Winnie Mandela to disband the Nelson Mandela soccer team because they were carrying out a lot of crimes, robberies, and murders in his name, and he did not want that to happen. He also was not a fan of necklacing, unlike Winnie Mandela, where you put a tire around somebody and soak them in kerosene and then light them up. We do know that. We also know, now, here's why I still think people should celebrate Nelson Mandela Day, okay? Because Nelson Mandela had every chance, if he wanted to expel the white South Africans, to not keep them around or treat them as equal citizens. The large majority of the African National Congress, his political party, wanted him to do just that. They also wanted him to disband the Springbok rugby team and not have that anymore. But he went against his party's wishes and kept all that and developed a policy of forgiveness and reconciliation. That is why that's why him and Winnie Mandela divorced, amongst other things, but that's a huge reason. And that's why he also had a falling out with his two daughters, Zinzi and Zanani. And because of that. So that's why I believe we need to admire and respect Nelson Mandela. He had every single chance he could have to kick the whites out of South Africa, and he chose not to do it. Yes, one of his right-hand men was a white man named Joe Slovo, who was an avowed communist. That is true. Like I said, Nelson Mandela's refusal to quit the South African Communist Party, I think, was wrong. His refusal to renounce violence was wrong. But once he got in office, he developed a policy of reconciliation and forgiveness when he did not have to do that. And public approval amongst that, at least in his own political party, was that he shouldn't have done that. But he chose to do. He also went to Oranje and said Oranje was not racist. Oranje was just trying to preserve the Afrikaner culture, and that Oranje could stay. A lot of other leaders would have disbanded Oranje. If you're not sure what Oranje is, go look it up. It's kind of in the middle of South Africa, in the middle of nowhere, and it's an speaking Afrikaans area town. And it's not whites only. There are blacks that can live there if they've been adopted by Afrikaner families or if they've emerged themselves into the Afrikaner culture. So, anyways, hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless. And bye-bye. Bye-bye.